take from my bed to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8. Will today be rough or will today be great? 9, 10, 11, 12. Lately I've been going through hell. 13, 14, 15, 16. Today's the day. Are you coming? Are you I'm sick of being normal? I'm sick of being average. I'm sick of being mortal. I'm about to be a savage. I see a lot of things that I want, I will have them. I got a new mindset that I just established. I'll march through the cold with the nails on the pavement. I'll shovel that coal just to get out the basement. My story will be told, helping others make changes. I'll be so bold, they will watch in amazement.
Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
Foot up on the pedal, pushing hard to the metal. Make a deal with the devil. Channel rage through my vessel into something that is special. Energy of a rebel, going up a level. I just wanna be greatness. I can feel changes. Turn a new page and tie up my laces. I will be the bravest. Break out of my cages. I will not be nameless. I will not be aimless.
Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
You are now live with the Locked In Podcast. As always, your hosts for the evening, Steve Ushler and George Menchai. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, make sure that you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to turn notifications on to stay up to date with the most current personal development tips and sports analysis. With that being said, welcome to the podcast and enjoy the show. All right, everybody, what is going on? What is going on? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 168. We are back in the sports realm today. Just want to welcome back in. I'll introduce the topic first. We're going to be talking Sixers. We're going to be talking Phillies, mainly Sixers, a little bit of Phillies. Give you an update where the teams are at April 2024. I just want to welcome back in special guest, returning guest, Mario Raffaele. Mario, what is up, brother? Thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah, what's up, bro? I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you for the invite.
No problem at all, man. And it looks like me and you will be the ones holding down the show tonight, as George will not be able to make it tonight, so he's not going to be on the pod tonight. It's just going to be us two, potentially a third guest too. We shall see, but it's mainly just going to be me and Mario holding down the episode tonight.
Yep. So you traded one Albanian for another, bro.
Essentially, man. Essentially, I guess that's what it's come to, man. a trade, if you will. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, where can I sign my 1-day contract to retire with the Locked In Podcast?
It's like one of those. What is it? A contract in the NBA when they do a 10-day contract. Like
yeah,
10-day. A little 10-day. Yeah, guys. So what we're going to talk about is I'll switch the backgrounds as we switch the teams, but. Phillies, there's honestly not a lot of bulletin material really to work with right now because it's a very small sample size. I think they've played 6 games so far. They won some, they lost some. There was a big game Tuesday night. Bryce Haper had 3 home runs and a grand slam to boot. They look okay. I mean, I feel like they're shaking the rust off a little bit. It is the beginning of the season, and I do still think that they have real big aspirations to go back to the World Series and honestly win the whole thing this year. We'll briefly talk about the Phillies towards the end. What we're mainly going to talk about is the Sixers because it is ramping up towards the NBA playoffs. So we'd like to talk about the Sixers. If I'm being honest, not a lot of games watched as much this year because Embiid has been out, but I've watched my fair share and done my research. But honestly, Embiid just came back on Tuesday. We'll talk about that. A big come from behind victory. 6 games remaining. It should be interesting as the Sixers are fighting for a playoff push, but also trying to get out of that play-in tournament spot and potentially just lock down a seed, which they would have to get at least the 6th seed to do. So with that being said, guys, we'll hop right into this now. I want to say if you're watching on YouTube and you are not already subscribed to the podcast, as you saw in the intro, click the subscribe button. It helps us out. Also hit that notification bell to turn notifications on. We release new content every single week related to either personal development or sports, and you don't want to miss it. If you're watching on Facebook, I'm assuming you're already part of the team, part of Locked In Nation and the group. So I just want to say thank you. If you see something you like and you want to tune in tonight, feel free to comment in, guys. What are your thoughts on the Sixers here? What are your thoughts on the Phillies? Like I said, Phillies have a long road ahead, but what are your thoughts? What are the aspirations here? And with the Sixers, do you think the Sixers are going to make the playoffs? And if they do, are they going to be a play-in tournament team? Are they going to lock down an actual seed? And then on top of that, how far do you think they could potentially go? And also, if you're just watching, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast, guys. We'll jump right into it. Won't waste any time here as we are a little past 7 anyway. All right, man. So Sixers, where we're sitting, we were just talking, man, right before we started this episode, but the Sixers are currently sitting at they're sitting in the 8th seed currently, and they're at least going to be in the play-in tournament no matter what. I mean, they got to face the 9, even if obviously 10 seeds have a chance to really get in here. Hawks are sitting at 10, the Bulls are sitting at 9. Right now, the Pacers are sitting at 7 in front of the Sixers, a game and a half up, and then the Heat are the same. They're actually tied with the Pacers, sitting in the 6th seed, game and a half up. If the Sixers win tonight, that's a 1-game full rebound. That means we would honestly be a half game back from the Heat, and we would hold that tiebreaker there. The Pacers, if they lose the next couple, we could jump them. It really depends, and I think the Pacers honestly have a little bit of a tougher schedule than the Sixers down the stretch, I believe. So they could lock down a 6th seed. Right now, I kind of agree with you, Mario. I know we talked about this earlier. Just take care of business tonight, beat the Heat, and then you would rather – I mean, if you're the 7th seed, you're going to you'd play the Hawks as of now, or the Bulls. They're honestly, you could play either because they're both sitting at the same record. So the Bulls have the tiebreaker. So we could either play the Bulls or the Hawks in the play-in tournament. But I'd rather have home field. I'd rather have home court against Miami. If say both of us get in, which if we're in the play-in tournament, I would say the Sixers and Miami are probably going to win their games, get into the playoffs, and I'd rather have that 7th seed versus that 8th seed. And you definitely don't want the 8th seed for one bigger reason than that is you don't want to play Boston. Boston this year, 60-16 record as of now, 13 games up on the 2nd seed, which is the Milwaukee Bucks. They ran away with the conference this year, and they're going to be a super, super tough out. This is the best I've seen Boston. Honestly, as good as Boston has had teams the last 5, 6, 7 years, this looks like a really scary team. And you don't want to play Boston, especially in the first round, and have to go on the road to Boston. They always have our number. So that's my thoughts there.
The last sentence says it all, man. They have our number. So even if we get in, man, we better hope we get the 7th seed because we have a much, much better shot against Milwaukee than we do against Boston. I actually think, Milwaukee's been kind of on and off a little bit. Even though they brought in Doc Rivers as the head coach midway through the year, I don't think that move's kind of made a difference for them. If anything, I think they've kind of regressed. I think we were just talking about this earlier before the show started. I think since they got Doc Rivers, they've been a 500 team. So they're well within beatable, even if we don't have the home court against them. But if we get that 8th seed, man, and we play Boston, it ain't going to be good. We'd probably be lucky just to get 1 game. I actually wouldn't be surprised if we even got swept.
Exactly, man. That would be I could absolutely agree, man. I mean, maybe you take 1 in Philly, but, if not swept, you probably lose in 5. That's a very tough out, especially when you don't have momentum. So if the Sixers – I'm not going to say the Sixers is 7th or, even as a 7th seed, if they go on a run and have to play Boston in the second round, I'm not saying they're going to beat Boston. You know what I mean? I'll be honest, my aspirations for the Sixers aren't super – they're not like super – I don't know how to really say it. They're not super optimistic because even if you get a 7th seed, you're probably going to play Boston in the second round anyway. Because I don't think they I actually don't know how that works.
I think in the NBA it's different. No, if you actually get the 7th seed, it goes by the seeding. So if you somehow get past the first round and the second round, you won't play Boston until the Eastern Conference Finals. So you actually avoid Boston until the finals.
Okay. And at that point, you could gather enough momentum, with Embiid coming back. Because they're not going to have many games with Embiid. Embiid, there's a back-to-back, I think, coming up this weekend. So Embiid's not going to play both of those games. If we're looking realistically, they're not going to play Embiid back-to-back games. So out of the remaining 6 games, you're optimistic Embiid maybe plays 5, and he played on Tuesday. So maybe you get 6 games with Embiid before they come back. Now, Embiid's obviously an all-star. He's a different type of player, top 5 talent in the NBA. He was the MVP last year. And honestly, he was on a collision course this year had he not got hurt. Obviously, he's not going to, he's missed half the season. But, with Joel Embiid, everything changed. And I will say this. This might be honestly a, I don't know, an underrated comment or, how do they say, hot take or whatever. But I honestly, personally think this Sixers team is the deepest Sixers team that they've had since that Joel Embiid's ever had. I think this is the deepest. Do I think it's the most talented starting 5? No. I would say the Jimmy Butler one was. But I would say in terms of bench and depth, I would actually say this is the deepest Sixers team they've had. Like I said, not the most talented starting 5, not by any stretch, but they definitely have a deep team, which could and I will say they have probably the best coach that they've had in this era because I personally think Nick Nurse is a much better coach than Doc Rivers. To go back to your point, Marius, they're 15-15 since Rivers took the helm. So if we actually look at the standings here, 15-15, we take that 42. And wow. So they were before Rivers came there. That means they were 32-14 before Rivers came. No way.
Yeah, no. What the story was, what had happened was, they apparently were concerned because the defense was slacking. So even though they had that good record, a lot of the games they had won because of their offense. And so they were like, okay, well, we need a defensive-minded coach. And I think the Greek Freak complained to the front office about their current coach. So what happened was their front office rushed and they got rid of him. And then now I don't know why they hired Doc Rivers, but apparently Doc Rivers is a defensive-minded coach, supposedly. So they brought him in hoping to fix the defense. And in reality, that really hasn't done anything. If anything, they were actually playing better under the previous regime than they are under Doc Rivers. So I blame the Milwaukee front office and the Greek Freak for that one, man. That was a blunder on their part because it really didn't do anything for their team. I mean, they were the 2nd seed when they got him, and they're still the 2nd seed with them. So it didn't really make any of a difference whatsoever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it reminded me of like when the Cavs fired Dave Blatt. Remember they had that great record, but they still let Dave Blatt go, and then they hired Tyronn Lue. Now, obviously, that was different because they had LeBron James, and they ended up going to the finals that year. So I think Milwaukee was under the impression that they could probably do what Cleveland did back then. But I don't think the Greek Freak is not LeBron James, so I don't think that's going to work out.
Yeah, as good as Giannis is, and at one point he was the best player on the planet, to back to multiple MVPs. You have to have a certain mind, and I've always personally said it that LeBron or any team secretly pulls the strings a little bit behind the scenes. He's got a mind for the game, and he's got a little bit of a coaching mind. I'm pretty sure Giannis is not coaching up the team and doing all the same stuff, so it's a little different. LeBron obviously wanted a yes man, someone who was going to kind of listen, who would coach, but at the same time, LeBron wanted a lot of control probably and a lot of input. And that's why, obviously, Ty Lue and everything like that. But that, in my personal opinion, obviously, I don't know, but it's just my my speculative opinion on it. But personally, man, I hope Giannis is gonna eat. He's gonna, man, he's gonna have to eat his words, man, crying and stuff like that, complaining. I like Giannis, man, I really do. He used to be more humble though, man. I feel like he whines a lot nowadays, man. He complains. I've actually seen some of the Bucks games this year, man. And he cries a lot, man. He complains. So, man, that whining might get the better of them, man, complaining to the front office. And you blame the front office, though, too, man. I understand you listen to your stars, man, but to make such a quick move like that and not, like, wait it out, that's crazy to think that they were 32-14 when they fired that coach. They were 18 games up. They were 18 games above 500.
Yeah, and as great as a move as it was to trade for Dame Lillard, man, they lost a good amount defensively. So even though you added an extra offensive firepower, man.
Yeah, they lost Holiday.
Yeah, you lose that extra defense, and even though it might not show in the regular season, guess what? That's going to get exploited when the playoffs come around. That's why I think the Sixers have a much better shot against Milwaukee than they do against Boston, because Milwaukee's somewhat beatable. Like, they're limping in the playoffs, even though they're the second seed.
Yeah, we were just saying this too. The Sixers are actually only 6 games behind Milwaukee. So you think if Embiid was healthy all year, we probably would be the second seed. Now, nobody was catching Boston, but Boston is a very well-rounded team. They are well-rounded on defense and offense. They are a freaking juggernaut. So it's very unfortunate that they play in the Eastern Conference and it's not a Western Conference team like that. But I'll be honest, adding Porzingis was a huge move for them, man. They added Porzingis, and that was gigantic.
Let me just say, I was actually wrong when the season started. I thought them losing Marcus Smart was kind of going to be a little bit of a detriment because he did all the dirty work for them. He was the heart and soul of that team. So when I heard he was traded or let go, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be bad for Boston. But I was wrong. I mean, not only did they get better, man, they're unbeatable. They're probably going to be the favorites to win it all. I don't know who from the West is going to be able to compete with them if they get to the finals.
Yeah, the only mark they have on them, and it's not a huge one, but I will say this. They did blow a 30-point lead, and that's one of the biggest leads I think ever blown by I think I might be the biggest ever, I think they said, or maybe since the 80s or something, in a long time, of a number 1 seed of that caliber has blown it. So I know I saw some Boston fans on the pages panicking a little bit when it happened because they're like, oh boy, deja vu. I forget what their coach's name is. I forget what that dude's name is. The guy, he's been their coach the last 2 years, but they were thinking deja vu at the playoffs like last year, choking leads, things like that. I personally think Boston's going to be okay. I think they just took their foot off the gas, but that does tend to happen sometimes with Boston. I feel like Tatum and those guys don't always hold the team accountable. A 30-point lead is a huge lead to blow. They blew that lead against the Atlanta Hawks, but I personally think that they're talented enough. This year looks scary. I hate to say it, man. I'm a Sixers fan, but this personally just might be Boston's year, man. Unless some type of crazy injury happens to like Tatum or Porzingis or Jaylen Brown, I don't know, man. This team looks good, man. I hate to say it, but they look kind of flawless right now.
Yeah, give credit to that Boston management for putting the war around the team together.
Yeah, dude, they've always had a good front office, man. They always have, man. Even when Danny Ainge was the now it's I think Brad Stevens is the
is the GM. I think he's the general manager. Yeah.
Yeah, because Danny Ainge stepped down, man. But they always have a good freaking front office, man. You saw they took Tatum 3, man. And, not a lot of people really saw Tatum like that, man. I mean, we took Fultz, and a lot of people tend to say, oh, man, we should have took Tatum. I'm telling you, man, like I always say there's a such thing as backdoor deals in the NBA, and there's no way that Boston was going to give up that number 1 seed without signing something behind the scenes with the Sixers. There was probably a signed agreement or an agreement of good faith. And I know some people, when I tell them that, they go, good faith. Well, who cares what Boston think? Yeah, but your reputation really goes down the toilet, and teams don't want to do business with you and won't make transactions with you, man, if you do a stupid move like that. And to be honest, the Sixers didn't know Tatum was going to be like that, man. Why would they do that unless it was like a bona fide superstar, like a LeBron James? But at that point, why the hell would Boston give up the number? You know what I mean? Like this, you ruin your reputation off a good faith deal if you essentially tell them, oh, we won't take Tatum, and then you do. So,
there was definitely some sort of deal going on behind it.
Something
Boston, yeah. I mean, knowing how smart Boston's front office is, man, they wouldn't do something dumb like that unless if they know for sure that the other team's going to be taking in one, or if something's done behind the scenes or whatnot. They wouldn't let somebody like that go just for the sake of. So.
Yeah, Boston had the number 1. So if the Sixers said, nah, we're going to take Tatum, they would say, well, we're not going to give it to you then. Cool. And they would have, they knew the Sixers wanted Fultz. So it's unfortunate.
My man's in Orlando.
Yeah, and Orlando's actually the 5th seed. Or I think they're the 4th seed, man. Yeah, they're 4th seed right now. They're a half game up on the Knicks. They're actually a half game back from the Cavs for the 3rd seed. And then they're 2 games back on the Bucks. It's a close race, man, up top. Yeah, dude, Milwaukee's 5-5 in their last few. All the teams are juggling, man. We're 5-5. Pacers are 6-4. Knicks are 6-4. Magic are 7-3, and the Heat are 7-3. Like I said, Cavs are 4-6, and Milwaukee's 5-5, and then Boston's 8-2. Yeah, Boston still looks strong even at the end of the year, man. A lot of people were like, "Oh, they're going to cool off." Well, they haven't yet.
Nah, man, they're out to make a statement.
Yeah, because 2 years in a row they choked. Last year they were saying revenge year to get back to the finals. They lose to the Heat. They almost completed the comeback, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, they should have. They were at home in Game 7. I mean, they had it right where they wanted it. It's not like Game 7 was in Miami. I really thought the Miami was going to be the first team to choke a 3-0 lead in NBA history when they lost that Game 6. And then seeing Boston choke like that in Game 7, I was like, wow. That was huge.
Yeah. Honestly, I like the moves that the Sixers made at this year. Picking up Buddy Hield, I think, was a big one. And then on top of it, Cameron Payne, another big move. And Buddy Hield, man, he's a 3-point specialist. That's what Buddy Hield does, man. He's a 3-point specialist, and I've seen some games, man, where he's like hitting threes from like maxi distance from like deep, man, and he just drains them. I'm like, yeah, man. That's why I said this Sixers team is one of the deepest ones we've had in a long time, man. I will say it's a very deep team, dude.
Just unfortunate that Embiid got hurt. Otherwise, we would have been like a good talking point throughout the year.
Yeah, that's why I said, man, we'd be fighting with Milwaukee for that 2 seed, man. I guarantee it. Like I said, we weren't going to catch Boston. It wouldn't have mattered if Embiid was back to catch Boston, but we would be there right in that discussion with that 2 seed, man, with Milwaukee. Had Embiid actually been here all year. So I'm curious to really see what they do. I really hope that they can lock down that number 6 spot. It'd be nice to not have to, worry about the play-in tournament. But I think if the Sixers do get in the play-in tournament, their hardest matchup would be Miami for the 7th, 8th spot, I think. But I do think that the Sixers should beat the Bulls. The Hawks sometimes do give the Sixers fits, but you be home. You should take care of business against the Hawks. They've played the Hawks really well this year, and I know the Hawks in the past have given fits. You should win that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I would say if they get in the play-in tournament, they'll at least be in the playoffs. I think it's minus 1,100 for them to make the playoffs or something like plus 675. I think I saw for them to not make it. So, I mean, Vegas tends to think that they're going to be in. Now, if we have to play Miami, man, for seeding, tonight's matchup will be a good glimpse. Miami's also 7-3 in their last 10, so they're actually playing really pretty well. So
yeah, Eric Spoelstra always has them playing good down the stretch. Anytime they need to finish strong, he always does that, man.
Yeah. The front office, this is completely unrelated, man, but I saw what happened with Eric Spoelstra's divorce, man, and they waited to pay him his deal.
Yeah, Pat Riley's the man. That's all I got to say.
He waited until that divorce was finalized to give him a freaking extension.
There you go, man. They should make They're going to make a statue of Pat Riley right outside the Miami Center.
That's an OG move, man. Nah, that's good for Spoelstra, though, man. Spo deserves it. I really like Eric Spoelstra, man. Spo's a hell of a coach, dude. He's I'd probably say he's like a top 3 coach in the NBA, man. He's a really freaking good coach. He might be the best coach. I'm not even gonna lie. That's around right now. I'd say Nick Nurse really is a top 3 coach too, man. I'm being honest. It's not even biased. I always said that even when he was in Toronto, that he was a top 3 coach in the NBA.
Yeah, I wish we would have had him last year, man. He probably could have got us over that Boston game.
I know. I'd still say Pop is in there. Obviously Pop is dealing with, he's towards the end, and it's just, but like. I mean, he doesn't really have much to work with. That first team is horrible, but they have Wemby. They're going to build around Wembanyama. So
he already his legacy is intact. That's a wrap. It's I think it's time for him to retire and just give the reins to somebody else. I mean, I think you've done all you could with that organization. I mean, you won 5 NBA championships with them. I think at one point in time they made the playoffs like 22 consecutive years in a row. His legacy is intact, so it's a wrap.
Yeah, I mean, five championships, and on top of it, I mean, he got to the finals that other year against the Heat. You know, I mean, yeah. So I mean, like, he's been to the finals many times. I'm like, I agree, man. I'm actually surprised that Pop is still coaching. I'm going to be honest. I guess he's trying to add some insight to Wemby and stuff. You know, I mean, teach him some stuff before he like kind of leaves and stuff. Maybe put him under his wing a little bit. But I'm kind of surprised that Pop is still coaching. And I didn't even take so I don't want to stray off the Sixers, but I wanted to look at the West real quick too. Wow, the Thunder actually dropped 2 spots with that loss to the Sixers the other night. That's how close the West is up top. So the Nuggets are 2 and the Timberwolves are number 1, and they're both tied for the same record, but the Timberwolves have the tiebreaker. And then the Clippers
it's a tight race for the West. Like, all the teams are like stacked like together. They said this is like the tightest race in years in terms of the West.
Yeah, and then so the top 3 teams are all close together. Then it's the Clippers, who are 5.5 games back out of that first, so they're not going to catch that. They'll probably either be in 4 or 5 because the Mavericks are 2 games behind them. Warriors, wow, the Warriors are they're still in the play-in tournament too. They're at the 10th spot, and it looks like they're going to get into the play-in tournament. Lakers are in the 9th, Kings in the 8th, Pelicans in the 7th, Suns in the 6th. Underrated team. The Suns aren't a deep team, though. That's the thing. They're very talented up front, but they're very top heavy. And then
that's gonna be an interesting plan. The Lakers and the Warriors. if it ends the night, yeah, that's how it would be. The Lakers and the Warriors would play for that 9th seed.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, man. Always a good old school matchup, man. LeBron versus Curry. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the Warriors, man. They had that one championship they got 2 years ago, and then since it's suspended.
They're getting old. They're getting exposed. Draymond Green's not playing all that great, and that's just what happens, man. I mean, all dynasties have to come to an end, and I think we're pretty much witnessing the end of their dynasty, dude.
Yeah, they had those 4 rings, man. They're probably kicking them something, man. That comeback by LeBron, man, stopped them from getting that 5th ring, man. That proverbial 5th ring that Kobe's had, that Duncan's had, that Jordan obviously has 6, but. Yeah, they had that proverbial ring, but that comeback was like that's the greatest comeback I've ever seen personally. But
it was the greatest comeback, but guess what? That led to them getting Kevin Durant. So there's no guarantee that the Warriors would have won the next 2 championships, because once they got Durant, it wasn't even fair. Like, those next 2 titles, man, nobody was going to beat that team. I mean, that has to be like the most loaded team in NBA history.
Yeah, if Draymond was able to keep his stupid mouth shut, man, they could have been a Spurs dynasty, bro. They could have won 5. They could have been like Kobe and Shaq, you know, back or Jordan and Pippen. Kobe and Shaq's a bad example because Shaq left, but Pippen and Jordan, man, they really could have honestly been like a freaking 5. They could have won like 5 championships if the Durant had stayed there. That was the most disgusting team I ever saw.
Easy. There's nothing you can do. You got 2 of the greatest shooters in Klay and Steph, and then you have a 7-footer who can shoot from just about anywhere on the floor. You have Draymond Green doing all the dirty work. It's pretty much a wrap. I mean, there's just nothing that you can do.
At the time, Klay was still dropping threes, man. And before that injury, bro, Klay was like, before those 2 injuries that Klay had, man, Klay was freaking lights out too, dude.
Yeah, remember the Sixers were trying to get him at one point, man. We were trying to make a trade to bring him here, man, to pair him up with Embiid, which would have been a great, great pick and roll play, because Embiid would have kicked that out to Klay for the 3, man, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, Golden State just wasn't going to let him go, man. No way, not then. They'll let him go now. They'll let him go now, but they weren't going to let him go back then, man. Like, when he was like lights out, dude. He was a 3-point specialist, man. But he actually, dude, I would actually say Klay was actually a great 2-way player, man, too, because he could play defense as well.
Yep, he could play defense as well, yeah. And then they also had a phenomenal bench too, with Iguodala coming off a bench. I'm like, it was just ridiculous, man. I mean, Sean Livingston. It wasn't fair. It just simply was not fair. I mean, there was just so much LeBron could do. It was pretty much a wrap. Once they got KD, it was over. The only team that was stopping Golden State at that point was Golden State, and that's exactly what they ended up doing.
Yeah, as crazy as it was, man, the Spurs almost had a chance to. Right? Was that the same year or no? Like, when they
it was that first year, yeah, and that's when that was the whole cheap shot for the house skip.
With the leg out, and it.
Kawhi went up for the shot. Zaza stuck his leg out. Kawhi left in, and it boom. And there goes his leg, and there goes basically. And the Spurs really haven't been the same since that series. I don't know if that was the last time they had made the playoffs, I believe. But
that was like the end of Kawhi. That was like the end of Kawhi, like in his golden years with the Spurs, man. Because there were years where he sat out. Remember that, dude, where he was like purposely sitting out and stuff. It was kind of the end of it, bro. It's just
It's crazy too. We had a bet on that game. I remember in that series, man, but it just wasn't fair after that, man. Because I just like at that point, bro, it was just like it was over once Kawhi went down, bro.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That was actually a really good Spurs team, man. That Spurs team actually had a much better shot at being Golden State than LeBron and Cleveland did. If Kawhi had not gotten injured, I'm pretty sure San Antonio probably would have took him to 7 games. I really, really believe that. But once Kawhi went down, it was a wrap.
Yeah, and dude, if they had taken them to 7 games, the NBA is all about matchups, man. Cleveland would have had a much better matchup. I'm not saying Cleveland would have beat the Spurs, man, but they would have had a much better matchup against the Spurs because they actually matched up very well with San Antonio. So the Cleveland could have had a title, man. Versus you play the dude. He played freaking like you played the Warriors, man. No shot. I think that was where what's his name, J.R. Smith. I think in that first game, man, Cleveland had an opportunity to upset them, and J.R. Smith like didn't realize that there was still time on the clock.
Yeah, I still remember those memes when it shows JR just like running and running and running.
Yeah, he thought that the game was like the Cavs were up 1 and there was a tied score. So that's yeah, man, it's just unfortunate, man. Yeah, but all dynasties do come to an end indeed, man. So here we are with where the Sixers are at now, man, and they're a deep team. Like I said, man, if they don't have to play Boston anytime soon, I think that the Sixers in a 7-game series, if they get Embiid like back and juicing with the team and stuff like that, he needs to get a feel with this roster. It's unfortunately just not a lot of time. I do think that the Sixers maybe be able to take on anybody. I don't want to give everybody false hope, but I just personally think that the East is very close. Like the East is very close. The Sixers are in the 8th seed. They're only 6 games behind Milwaukee, who's the 2 seed, and then Boston runs away with the complete conference in the number 1 seed. But outside of Boston, it could be a crapshoot, man. You just don't know. It's unfortunate you got to go on the road against a lot of these teams, but it's a crapshoot, man. With Embiid and how deep this team is and a great coach like Nick Nurse, you never know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, man. Just get in the playoffs. We'll worry about home court and, who's on the road later, man. The important thing is just to get in, figure out who you're going to play, and then just go from there. You can't think about, ahead of time. You just got to take what's in front of you.
Yep, I just want to see some good, healthy playoff basketball, man. That's all.
Yeah, I just feel bad for Embiid, man, because I can't think of one Sixers player that deserves the title, man, more than him. I mean, he's been with the city for so long. He's been through so much with the Ben Simmons drama BS and then the James Harden crap and all that BS. And then during
Jimmy
the process,
Butler going to Miami.
And, Jimmy Butler going to Miami, man. I'm like, bro, at least let's get this man at least just 1 fucking ring, man. He deserves it, dude. He really does.
I know, man. It's unfortunate, man, but he does need to stay healthy too, dude. And it's just been an Achilles heel for him every single year, man. He has an injury. I will say, I'm happy that the injury happened when it did, because if it happened now, we're screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed. Yeah, it's a wrap.
It's wraps, dude. It's over. You know what I mean, dude? I mean, you lose Embiid, you saw what happened, man. I mean, this team tried to fight. They had some games where they were in it and won games, but without Joel, man, he's the head of the ship, dude. You lose him, it's over.
Yeah. You saw the difference the other night. I mean, they were down, and I'm like with Joel there, man, it's just different. The spirit of the team is different. Everybody plays harder. Everybody plays smarter, and they were able to come back and win. So you never know. I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah, Maxey is nursing an injury too, but he'll be back. He'll be all right. I was gonna say it's like Giannis going down for Milwaukee. As good as Dame is, man, he ain't carrying the team, man. You saw what happened in Portland, dude. You know what I mean, dude? It's just like without Giannis, man, the Bucks are nothing. Like they're done. Without Jimmy Butler in Miami, the Heat are nothing. But one team I will say that's super well rounded. That if they lose one of their stars, they might. I don't want to say okay. Obviously, it's a detriment. But if they lose one of their big 3 stars, it depends on who it is. Boston might be all right. Now, if they lose like Jaylen Brown, they might be okay with Tatum and Porzingis. I don't know. Or if they lose Porzingis, I don't know. If they lose Tatum, that's huge. Like Tatum's their best player, but you lose
Tatum. That's not going to help though. Again, I mean, they might be able to get past the East if they lose one of those guys though. But if the team coming around from the West, whether it's Denver or Phoenix or Oklahoma, or wherever it's going to be, I mean, if they're fully healthy, man, that's going to be a problem for Boston if they lose one of their top stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you need your stars, man. They're important. Yeah, I didn't realize how big of a loss it was going to be for Holiday. I keep forgetting that too, man. Holiday's in Boston too.
Yep.
Dude, that team is loaded.
Yeah, man. There's like I wish Philly had that Boston front management, man. We'd probably be doing wonders right now.
Dude, Holiday, Derek White, like
yeah, they're loaded, bro. They're fully healthy, man. I can't see why they can't win the title. I can't. Wow. I mean, pending any serious injury, like I said, if they're fully healthy, man, from top to bottom, I mean, they're the heavy favorites to win it all.
Absolutely, dude. It's a big choke job if they don't. If they are full strength and they don't win it all, man, that's a huge choke job. I don't want to hear anybody. I'll tell you right now, man, if Boston doesn't win, man, of how good they've been this year, man, I don't want to hear anything in the future years, man. I don't want to hear nothing, dude. Just shut up if they don't win, bro. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Boston, if I had to pick right now, I'm going to say Boston's going to win the title. Like, if they don't win it, dude.
I mean, if they don't win, and not only that, man, imagine the pressure that would be on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown if they don't win. Yep. I mean, they're going to be looked at so differently. I mean, that pressure is just going to increase and increase.
Let me see. One of them's up for a contract. Who just got paid last year? Was it Jaylen Brown?
I think it might have been Jaylen Brown, actually.
That means Tatum's up for a contract. Let me see. My Wi-Fi's acting up a little bit. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Tatum contract. I'm curious. Oh no, he's set. Tatum. Max extension. Oh, he signed a 5-year massive extension, man. $163 million. Could be $193 million if he exercises that 5th-year option. And Jaylen Brown contract. Let me see.
Yeah, because I know one of them was up last year. I don't know how much they re-signed him to.
Wow, dude. And Jaylen Brown got a $304 million deal. Dude, how are they not over the cap?
Okay, so they maxed both players.
Dude, how does that make – what's Porzingis making, dude? That's crazy, bro. Like, I don't know, man. They must be – because there's no, like it's just like a –
I guess everybody else must be taking pay cuts, basically. I mean, the salary cap is high in the NBA, so, I mean, knowing how good that front office is, I mean, they're probably making a way to – they'll probably figure out a way to make it work. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they max both of them, man. You need both those guys.
I'm assuming that maybe some of that money is less on the front end and maybe it's backloaded. I don't know, for one of their contracts. They have to find some way to do it, but that's crazy, man. They're making like 85% of the money. What's Porzingis and Holiday making, man? You mean that's crazy, dude. I don't know how that works. And Derek White's going to want a contract too. I don't know what his contract is, man. But he's a key piece, dude. If they lose Derek White, that's actually, I know that they're very top heavy, but he does a lot of stuff for them. So let me see what his crazy that we're getting into a contract discussion here. It's a 4-year. He's on a 4-year contract, man. He's making $70 million over 4 years, and I don't know when his contract expires. Let me see when this happened. Just kind of curious. Let's see when this contract ends. Okay, he's in the 3rd year of his contract, so he has one more year. He has one more year, 24-25 season, and then after that, so he's due for $18 million next year, guaranteed. So, dude, that's a lot of money, dude. They're paying a lot of freaking money, man. Jaylen Brown's making $304 million, dude. I'm sorry. I know the market dictates it, man, but he ain't worth $304 million.
Well, he was going to get it somewhere else. So, I mean, somebody was going to pay him. I mean, exactly. I don't think. Well, that's why Boston didn't let him walk. I mean, I guarantee you somebody would have paid him that money.
Yeah, they would have. It's crazy. He's a secondary player. I don't think Jaylen Brown's the leader of the team. That's why I say I think Tatum's the leader of Boston. But interesting, man. And then I don't know when Embiid's contract is, so we have to. I don't know how many more years Embiid has. Did they extend him again?
I think he has like 2 or 3 more years left. I'm not sure.
Let's see. They have it right here. Embiid has. Yeah, dude, we have them locked up. We have them locked up to 2027.
So, yeah, 3 years. Yep.
Yeah, they got. Yeah, he's got 3 more years on the books. He's making $51 million a year.
Crazy money, man, but dude, well worth it for a guy of that caliber.
Yeah, $51 million a year he's making, man. Crazy. Tobias' contract is up this year.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to re-sign him, or if they do re-sign him, I don't know at what rate he's going to get paid.
We have to see what's out there, because they're going to have to replace him regardless.
Yeah, that was a bad contract right from the start, man. Dude,
it was a panic move.
That contract kind of held us back.
Mm-hmm. It was a panic move, man, because Jimmy Butler left. So you needed to keep one star, man. So that's what they did. They paid Tobias ridiculous money because it's what the market dictated at the time. So it's kind of crazy. Like, they wound up paying him essentially Jimmy Butler's money. That's Jimmy Butler money. At the time, a Supermax was like $180 million, or I think it was $205 million or something. It's crazy
you remember that video when Jimmy's walking out of the tunnel and he's like, Jimmy Butler over me? Jimmy Butler over me?
Or he said Tobias Harris.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. He's like, Tobias over me? Tobias over me?
Tobias Harris over me? Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I was laughing so hard at that. I'm like, oh, boy. That was definitely a direct shot to Sixers management.
I know, dude. But, I mean, it was more like Brett Brown over him. They chose Brett Brown over.
Yeah, that's what he really should have said. Brett Brown over me. The Brett Brown over me. It was more so that. Yeah, because you're right. Tobias was a panic signing. So I can't really blame Tobias. I mean, if I was in that position, I would take the money too. And ain't no way in hell I'm leaving all that money on the table and shit. So,
nah, man.
I'm like, shit. He did what he had to do.
Essentially, they signed Tobias to be able to compete. And I mean, they had a chance, man. I mean, that the year they were the number 1 seed, man, choking to Atlanta was just inexcusable.
Yep. You think the person up in Brooklyn for that one.
Yeah. We had 2 years, I think, where we had not a shot to win the title. That year and the year we had Jimmy Butler, and we lost to the
last year too. Last year too. I mean, we had Boston right where one of them up 3-2. And then, God knows what would happen if we went to the Eastern Finals, man. But last year we had a decent shot. We got hot at the right time, and it just didn't work out.
How many Game 7s are we going to have in the freaking second round of playoffs? It's unbelievable.
We just can't get over that second round, man. I don't know what it is, dude. Boston's had our number. Every time we get to that second round, man, we just can't. For some reason, I don't know what it is, man. We just keep getting held back.
And you watch, if we somehow get there this year, if we don't have to play Boston until the Eastern Conference, then we got to play for a juggernaut in Boston. I don't care, man. You know what, dude? If they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, man, I consider this year a W. With all the BS that they've been through with Embiid being out and everything, man, they get to the Eastern Conference, even if they lose to Boston, man. I hate to have sound like a loser's mentality, man, but let's be realistic, man. I don't see the Sixers really winning the title, man, unless they get some type of fire momentum, bro, or Boston completely collapses. But if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals against Boston, man, I consider that a W.
That's a huge W because a few weeks ago they barely had us to even get into the playoffs. Now it's you went from barely making it into the playoffs to making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So that would be a huge W, and that would build momentum for next season.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that's a huge weight off your shoulder if you get to the Eastern Conference Finals too, because you finally got out of that proverbial second round and finally got back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2001. So that actually puts a weight off your shoulder. You can honestly have Embiid gel with this team, next year and stuff, and really put the pieces in place. And maybe honestly, if they get rid of Tobias, maybe I don't know who's really available on the market next year, man. But if they do get rid of Tobias, maybe they could bring in another star or something like that. So we'll see what happens, man. I mean, they're unloading a lot of money off their books with Tobias, man, with that contract being going. So we'll see what they do, man.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt they'll resign him, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it also depends on how he plays in the playoffs, too. I mean, if he goes off and has consistent games.
Exactly. And if they do resign him, it depends on the contract. I don't think they will resign him. I think they're just going to let him go, honestly.
Personally, me too.
Yeah, but it depends, though. I mean, we'll have to wait until the offseason.
Unless he takes a friendly discount, man, and just comes back, man, to play here, and we're able to get him on a really cheap deal, and then essentially because he already made a bunch of money here, if we get him on a cheap deal, and then we're able to still bring in a star, then maybe, but it really depends, man. I agree. I don't think he's actually going to probably take a deal, man. He'll probably, he'll see what the market is, and if the market offers something for him, man, he'll go somewhere else. But I personally agree. I don't think he's going to come back. I like Tobias, man. He's not a $200 million player. That's not Tobias' fault. You know what I mean? I agree, man. I would have took the money too. I mean, shit. I think some people say, "Oh, he makes $200 million," but he was never a $200 million player. That was just a panic sign.
Yeah, that was just what the market was at the time. Yeah. A panic. It was just for him. It was the perfect combination of the Sixers panicking and the market peaking at the right time.
Timing was.
Yeah, perfect. He wouldn't have got that contract nowadays. I'll tell you that.
No, man, no. He would not get a $305 million deal. You know what I mean, dude? It's just the market was just what it was at the time. And, the timing couldn't have been more perfect for Tobias. So, I mean, he got his money and hey, I like him. He's just inconsistent, man. He'll have let me put it this way, man. Tobias has been in the league how long? For someone who makes $200 million, I think his max points he's ever put up in a game is 39 points. He's never even hit 40 points in a game, dude. For someone who makes that type of money, that's crazy. That's crazy. To never ever have even seen 40 points in a game in your career. And he's a vet, dude. He's been playing for a very long time. That's Max. He's already hit like 50 multiple times, man. I mean, that's the max star money, dude. I mean, Tobias is just who he is. But like I said, this is one of the deepest Sixers teams I've seen in a long time. Not the best starting five. But if they do get in, man, if they don't have to face Boston to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think they got a puncher's chance, man. They got a puncher's chance to maybe make some noise and really maybe get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I said, pending Boston injuries or an epic collapse, I just see Boston coming out of the East, unfortunately. But Sixers could make some noise.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It starts with tonight. Let's get that W in Miami, man, and build some momentum. And, let's try to put ourselves in the best position possible.
I agree. What time they play tonight, Sixers?
I think they're actually playing right now. Let me double check.
Yeah, they actually do. They actually are. Score update, guys. Ending the first quarter's got 4 seconds left. Sixers are up 8, 37-29. Good stuff.
37-29. Okay, yeah. No, they're actually up by 10, 39-29. Yeah, and they're playing in Miami. Wow. Okay.
Yep. They just scored again. Yep, you're right. Yeah, Embiid's got 11. Maxi's got 15. Let's see what how Jimmy's looking. Jimmy's got 7. Oh yeah, I forgot they picked up Terry Rozier.
Yeah, he's got 8 points.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys.
Actually,
when I get off, I was gonna say when I get off this, later on when we get off the slide, man, I'll catch probably the second half of this game.
Yep, I'll probably put her on my fire state.
Yeah, man. Shower up and watch that second half, man. Yeah, man. Dude, there's just something about playoff basketball, man. I love some playoff basketball, man. Like the season, it's a long season and stuff like that. But when it gets to playoff basketball, man, there's just something about it, man. There's nothing. It's very unique to its own.
Yeah, the intensity, like the excitement, the fans. Yeah, everybody just gets into it.
Yeah, that's why I hated it during COVID, man. It was just so weird, dude. No fans in the building. I'm like, man, the bubble and stuff. I was just like, I understand it. I understood why they did it that way, but it was just like it just wasn't the same.
But I mean, I was happy to see sports, but yeah, I mean, you can't. It's just weird. Like you need the fans there. Like that's what makes it more special.
Yeah, because there's no nervousness from like the opposing team when you're going on the road when there's no fans. It's like you're playing in the YMCA, dude, in the rec center.
Yeah, like I mean, some of those guys they were killing it that year, man. They just ain't been the same since. I'm like,
I know guys. They had the guys that were killing it in the bubble, but it just goes to show, man, when you have to go on the road, man, when an opposing like hostile crowd, man, is different.
Yeah, I'm like it puts the I don't think people realize just how big the pressure is, man. You go to that, especially when you go to that free throw line. And you see 10,000 people, man, behind the net, and they're all waving and booing and stuff. And I'm like whistling, and I'm like, yeah, it just adds like a certain level to it.
Yep, it's more pressure on you, especially the younger players. Vets have been around more, but especially if like you're a younger player, man, you don't have that type of experience in hostile crowds. I'm not saying college crowds aren't crazy, but I will say the NBA is just another level. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah,
and this is over.
Especially some of those loud arenas like Utah and Boston and Denver, like and the fans just really get on you.
It's funny you say Utah and Boston, man. Two of the most racist ones. I know specifically Utah. I know we always give it to Boston, but Utah is. I've heard some very crazy things about the Utah fans, man.
Yeah, and they're loud. I remember back in the '90s when Phil and Michael Jordan used to go there. Apparently, on some of the games, Phil Jackson was wearing like earmuffs because the fans were just getting so damn loud.
Yeah. No, they said I think it's one of the loudest arenas in basketball, man. To be honest.
Yeah, I think it's number one if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like how loud it gets, like decibel wise, like I think it's the loudest.
Yeah, I'm looking search right now. Loudest arena in NBA.
At least if not number one, definitely top 3 or top 5. But I think they're number 1.
Let me see. Here it's saying it was. So I don't know about current, but they were saying the loudest ever was Oracle. But Oracle that's not the arena anymore for Golden State, right? Like they moved.
Nah, I think they moved to I think it's the Chase Center now. I think they moved it from I think they moved from Oakland to San Francisco. So I don't think they're that loud anymore.
Yeah, so his team's ranked. I can't really tell here. Like this list just is not it's not going in order. Let me see. Okay, here we go. This is a more recent list. I'm just a little curious to see. It says top 10 loudest stadiums in the NBA. And let's see where we're at. MSG's number 10. Staples Center's 9 for the Lakers. Then the Kings Stadium is 8. Then you got the Pacers. Celtics, the TD Garden is 6. OKC is actually 5. The Chesapeake Energy Center. Chase Center for Golden State is number 4. Number 3 is the Mavericks Arena, American Airlines. And then you have the Moda Center for the Blazers. They're actually saying the United Center won. So that's crazy, dude.
Nah,
no
that list can't be correct, man.
There's no way. Dude. There's just no way.
Nah, I don't know who the hell made up that list, man. Nah. I mean, I guess maybe because I'm speaking from like a more of a historical perspective. I don't know. To me personally, Utah has always been like the loudest.
Yeah.
Anytime.
This list is more realistic. Number 3 is Arco Arena, which is Sacramento. Number 2 is the Blazers again, but this list is flip flop. This one is number 1 is Energy Solutions Arena in Utah. Craziest, loudest fans of all NBA, and it's been known for history. They are consistently crazy, and despite having a metropolitan population of just 1 million, they fill up the seats time and time again and scream their hearts out.
So, yeah, because you know why? Because it's the only professional team they have. They don't have a hockey team. They don't have baseball team. They don't have a football team. I mean, they have the college teams like Utah State, and all that, but they don't. The Jazz are their only professional team that they have in that state, so they care about their Jazz. So they're going to support them in any shape way they can.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so they say that list, I believe that's a reputable list because I always thought Utah was the loudest.
Yeah, no, it gets pretty fucking loud in there. I remember when I used to love the Lakers back in the day, man. I remember when Kobe went there and they played against Carlos Boozer and Deron Williams and the Jazz, man. Them crowds, that crowds were actually louder than the Staples Center, man. I was like, dude, I hated seeing the Lakers play up there.
Yeah, I think the one list, Oracle did always have a loud fan base. Mm-hmm. I know that. I remember seeing that Game 7. That was crazy, like how loud it was. But yeah, man, no, those games with the Jazz back in the day, man. And then even the days, man, when it was like Stockton versus like what was it, Stockton versus Jordan, man, with like the Jazz and the Bulls, man, in the 90s, dude. Like those stadiums were loud. It also depends on how the stadium is built too. I feel because like you see in football how Arrowhead and like what is it? It's not CenturyLink anymore, but you know what I mean. Seattle's stadium, how they're built, it really matters in terms of decibel and loudness. So I don't know, man. We shall see, man. But I know the TD Garden gets loud.
Yeah, Philly gets loud sometimes too, man.
Yeah, we might not be a top 10, but it's also but we still get pretty loud, man, because our stadium isn't the biggest, man, but we make a lot of noise, man, in Philly.
Yeah, we got a passionate fan base, man. We're the best fan base in America.
Yeah. We're one of the biggest markets in basketball too. I'd actually say we're probably like a top 5 market. I'd say Philly's in the top 5, probably with New York, Chicago, Boston, and I'd have to think who like the 5th one would be, but probably maybe the Lakers, maybe LA, or maybe even I wouldn't say Miami because Miami has a lot of fair weather fans. I will say that.
Nah, yeah, I very rarely ever hear Miami get loud.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'd maybe say maybe Lakers fans. I don't know though. It depends, but they say OKC gets loud, so they have that. That's another one though, man. In Oklahoma City, there's not like a lot of teams out there. You know what I mean? So
they got college football, the Sooners, but that's about it.
Exactly. So it's like they just they support their teams. But yeah, I personally think if the Sixers get in and they got a puncher's chance if they don't have to play Boston until the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'll flip flop for a short minute. We are almost at the hour mark. We're very close to it, so we'll talk very briefly on this. To the Phillies. I think I have a background for it. Let me see. This little
there we go.
A little light blue background. There we go. Yeah. So on my end, I just couldn't see it till right now. So there we go. It's got some Phillies. We'll talk some Phillies for a moment. So the Phillies so far, I think, aren't they playing tonight too? They might be. Let's see.
Yeah, because I think they just finished a series with the Reds. I forgot what they're. Actually, No, actually, I don't think they finished the series
Yeah.
with the Reds. Let me check.
Let's see.
Yeah, just a quick flip flop. The Heat are only down by 2 now.
Yeah, game of runs.
Yeah, they started 10-2 runs to start the second quarter.
Yeah, it's a game of runs. So the Phillies were 1-3 in their first series,
Yeah, they
and they finished.
Oh, they did play yesterday. Okay, yeah. So the Phillies lost yesterday 4-1. So
So we're
they play the Nationals tomorrow.
yeah, so we're 2-4 to start the season.
And
It's early,
not a great
rusty.
start.
No, not at all. Bullpen is an issue right now, man. And there were a lot of people in that pre half of the season that were saying that we had the best. There was somebody that said we had the best bullpen in baseball looking coming into this, and it looks the
Yeah,
bullpen
how did that look opening day for you, man?
looked horrible.
Yeah, man. I would hate to be Zach Wheeler, man. The pitching 6, what was it? Say he pitched 6, 1 or 4 innings, man. Bullpen comes in the 7, boom.
6 shutout innings, man. It was 2-0, man. And then I remember I went to my barber and we go to the barber shop, man. I get there, my barber comes out of the back. He's like, "What the hell happened?" Just checking the score. It was like 7-2. I said, "What the hell happened, dude?" And like
the bullpen. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what I told him.
And then they fucked it over again the next game. Remember, we were winning again, and then the bullpen gave it up, and I was just like, "Oh God, here we go."
Yeah, they look really bad, man. They're the Achilles heel of this team right now. So we're putting up runs, and we still just can't get the wins. And they just don't. That doesn't look good. The good thing is, it's the beginning of the season. A lot of time to figure it out. They're going to have to make moves if they have to, but it just doesn't look like a good bullpen right now, man. Hopefully, they shake that rust off. A long season, baseball, 162 games. I personally think this Sixers. I mean, why am I saying Sixers? I'm talking so much Sixers. This Phillies team is talented enough that they should be back in the World Series. They should have been in it last year. I personally, I might have a hot take here, but I don't know if they would have beat the Rangers. I just think the Rangers were on another level last year, but they should have at least been back in the World Series. They should have beat the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that was just man, coming back
Yeah.
to Philly up 3-2 and just to lose both games like that. That was a huge choke job on our end.
Yeah. Dude, if we don't win the division, I think it's going to be hard 3 years in a row to have to play Atlanta and not have home field. Like home field against Atlanta and try to beat them 3 years in a row. That's going to be hard. I mean, we did it 2 years in a row, but I think they got to win the division, man. It's going to be hard. And the Dodgers, obviously, are the Dodgers. They're going to be good. The whole thing with Ohtani and stuff. I don't know what's going to happen there. I really don't know what's going to happen there with Ohtani, with all the stuff that's going on with the betting. Like that they found out that somebody was betting on somebody close to Ohtani was it trusted with or something, and it was something with illegal sports betting. They might suspend them for a year if they catch it, if they find out that, I don't know. Somebody was saying, "Oh, his career could be done." I'm like, nah. They need Ohtani, man, to make money, man. They're not going to do that. That'd be like LeBron James getting caught early in his career on sports betting, and them saying they're going to ban LeBron for life. Yeah, okay, that's just not going to happen.
I mean, I think I have to read more into that story, but I mean, if that is determined to be the case that they were betting on games, I think he'll probably get like a year. If he was more like towards the end of his career and shit like that, maybe they might ban him completely. But with him being so young and in the peak of his prime, man, I just can't see them. Unless if it was like blatantly obvious, like he was betting in games personally, then in that case, yeah, they might fucking ban him because then you're going to open up Pandora's box and everybody's then basically going to do it.
Yeah, it becomes tough either way. It's weird. Imagine LeBron being open betting and stuff like that, man, and they ban him for life, man. I don't know how you can do it, man. It's tough. You can maybe ban him for 2 years or something, man, but I think it's hard, man, to ban someone like it's like a face. He's like this face of the freaking league. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Yeah, you need stars to market the game, man.
Yes, you do. Calvin Ridley. It's all about the dollar at the end of the day. Calvin Ridley wasn't a big star, man, but he got banned that 1 year from the NFL.
He did. Yeah, I remember that.
People thought that was harsh. They're like, "Oh, it's just for betting or something." Yeah, but I agree with you. There, if you allow it for one person, imagine how many other people are going to do it. If there's not a harsh penalty on it.
Well, no, in the NFL, it's worse because there's only 16 games in the NFL. Now, let me take it back. There's 17. So I'm like, dude, you mean that one game can be the difference between you making the playoffs and not getting in? I mean, if they find out that, you bet and you change the outcome of the game, that's going to have a far more impact. I mean, because in baseball, at the very least, you can make the argument that there's 162 games. So depending on how many games they bet for, it might not, it might not really dictate the race so much. But in the NFL, man, where it's only 17 games, that's a huge fucking deal. I'm not shocked. I'm actually surprised it was only 1 year. I thought he was going to get more.
Yeah, exactly, man. No, you're right. That's a good point. Yeah, it really impacts the game, dude. It's like that's the thing, man. If you let it happen to one person, more people just do it too. So like if they know that there's not a harsh penalty, they'll just do it as well. They're like, oh, I only suspended 4 games. I don't care. I'm gonna take my chances.
Yeah,
and like play,
especially now that they've legalized betting, man. This is gonna be the new normal, man.
Yep, exactly, man. I remember when sports betting was only legal in Jersey, bro. I remember that, bro. Like when, I remember when I would like, I don't want
you had to change the VPN.
I was gonna say, man, I don't want no ops watching, man, but you know what I mean, dude. I was like, yo, if you had the sports bet, man, you had to go over the bridge to Jersey, man, and have your GPS in Jersey, bro. I remember that, dude. I remember those days, man. You had to like go over to Cherry Hill or something, man, and like you have to bet over there, man. I remember one time I bet on a Sixers game, man, and I was already going over to Jersey anyway, man. I made the bet while I was in Jersey. Yeah, dude, because you could. I remember that, dude. Now like Parks Casino has it, Rivers Casino, man. You can do FanDuel, you can do DraftKings, you can do all those MGM Sportsbook, like all these ones now, dude, that are like just online. So it's crazy, man. What a difference like the time is and where we've come. But yeah, unfortunately, man, I just think this affects more outcomes of games, and it's very freaking unfortunate, especially in football.
Yeah, come to think of it, man, I might just drive over to Coney just to put in a bet, man. What do you think?
You got to go to Allegheny to do it now. You got to go down.
Yeah, now you're trying to get me killed.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So I mean, we can probably. I'll get ready to wrap it up here, man. I mean, this is fun, but there's not really too much to talk about with the Phillies. They're 2-4, but the 6 games, they still have 156 games to play. Maybe at some point this summer we'll touch on the Phillies again, man. When we're closer, when we're like halfway through the season or whatever, and then we'll have a bigger sample size where we can really see where the Phillies are at. I just wanted to discuss them because the season started, and I know a lot of people are hyped for them, big aspirations for them, and goals for them. So we'll see what happens. But mainly Sixers, I'm excited to see. I'll definitely watch some of that game tonight, and then they'll have 5 games left after tonight with a back-to-back this weekend. We'll see what happens, man. Like I said, they get in, they don't have to face Boston until the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying it will be an easy road. Cleveland, Milwaukee, the Knicks, all tough teams, man. But you get in, you might have a chance against any of those teams. We'll see.
I agree. Yeah, man. Hopefully we can do another Sixers episode, man. When the playoffs roll around.
Oh man, if the Sixers get to if the Sixers do that and they get to the Eastern Conference Finals against Boston, we'll absolutely have another Sixers one, man. I will. There's no way if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, man, I can't talk Sixers. If they somehow get there, even though like I said, if they play Boston, they're probably gonna lose to Boston. I will definitely do another Sixers episode, even if I have to move something around. If they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, absolutely.
Oh, I'll be looking forward to that one, man. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. So, guys, just want to say thank you for joining in tonight. Anybody who joined in, I know it's a Thursday night. It was a little bit last minute. We had some other guests that were kind of scheduled around, so the promotion didn't really get out to today because of it. But thank you to anybody who tuned in tonight. If you're watching afterwards and you want to comment in, feel free to comment in tonight. But also on top of it, just want to say shout out to Frank Sharella, who came on last week. It was a really big episode. Frank came on. He talked about his experience as a police officer. Bostino is almost an 8-year veteran of the force at this point. He went into the academy almost 8 years ago, and he's been a Philly. Essentially, at this point, he's considered a Philly vet. If you haven't checked out that episode, that was 167. It was last week. Feel free to check that out. It was a good episode. We had a discussion for about an hour. And next week's episode will be a good one as well. We actually had the flop episode, so we're going to talk a little bit about real estate contracting or something like that, but that's actually moved back to 2 weeks from now. So we have like an impromptu episode that we kind of had to move around. I will keep that promotion a little secret until the week kind of goes on to keep that one a little, keep you guys, on the edge of your seat a little bit, waiting for that one, but it should be a good episode next week.
I'm looking forward to that one, man. The real estate is something I definitely want to get into. So, any insight, whoever your guest comes on, any insight, man, be much appreciated.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, the guest for that is a returning guest that's coming on in 2 weeks. So 169 will be a different episode next week, but the real estate one will be in 2 weeks with contract and stuff like that. It's going to be episode 170. 169 will be a little different. So, Marius, anything that you have to add before we kind of wrap up here?
Nah, man. Thanks for the invite, bro. Shout out to the Locked In Nation, man. Let's get it.
Absolutely. Guys, well, that being said, have a great night, a great weekend, and we will see you next week for episode 169. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. Have a good night.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.